In the heart of the kingdom of Zamira, where the sun gleamed as though the land itself was made of gold, there stood a palace like no other. Its golden walls shimmered under the harsh African sun, and its towering columns sparkled as if carved from precious gems. Zamira's streets, polished with care, gleamed like a river of light. It was a kingdom of unimaginable wealth, ruled by a queen who, though resplendent in beauty, was feared and loathed by many. Queen Morana was a sight to behold. Her skin gleamed like molten bronze, and her eyes, sharp, piercing green, could freeze the blood of anyone who dared meet her gaze. She wore magnificent Egyptian robes embroidered in gold, with a headdress made of precious stones that weighed down on her like the weight of her power. Her throne, adorned with diamonds and emeralds, was the seat of her iron rule, and beneath her the kingdom trembled. But behind the queen's regal exterior, there was a darkness, an insatiable hunger for control. Morana's rule was one of cruelty, where no one dared speak out against her. Her heart was as cold as the marble floors of her palace, and even the air around her felt heavy with unspoken dread. Yet there was no joy in her eyes, only the constant yearning for more. One morning, a strange weakness gripped the queen. She awoke to find herself unable to rise from her bed, her limbs aching as though weighed down by 1,000 stones. Her breath was shallow, and her once sharp eyes grew hazy. The royal physicians were summoned, one by one, but none could explain the cause of her illness. They pored over scrolls and potions, but no remedy seemed to work. The great queen, once unstoppable, was now at the mercy of an unknown affliction. As the days passed, the palace was cloaked in an air of unease. The queen's condition worsened, and her once feared presence was reduced to a whisper. Servants moved through the halls with trepidation, and the royal physicians' faces grew paler with each failed attempt to cure her. But amidst all the sorrow, one maid, Naya, a quiet servant with dark, radiant skin, watched in silence. Naya had always been unnoticed in the palace, her role humble yet essential. She carried water, tended to the queen's chambers, and performed her tasks without question. Yet, Naya harbored a secret, one whispered in the darkest corners of the palace. A secret passed down through generations. The life-healing tree. Deep within the heart of the sacred forest of Kendra, it was said that a single leaf from the tree could heal any ailment, no matter how grievous. Naya knew the legend well, though she had never dared speak of it aloud. But now, with the queen's life hanging in the balance, she had no choice. The night was dark as Naya left the palace grounds, her heart pounding with fear and hope in equal measure. The path to the life-healing tree was treacherous, winding through a dense forest that whispered of ancient magic. Her feet, bare and calloused, navigated the rough terrain as if the forest itself was guiding her toward her destination. The moonlight barely pierced the thick canopy of trees, but Naya pressed on, undeterred. She had made a promise to herself. She would save the queen or die trying. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she arrived at the life-healing tree. It stood tall and magnificent, its bark glowing with an ethereal light that cast shadows on the forest floor. The leaves shimmered like gold, rustling softly in the breeze, as though beckoning her forward. Naya's breath caught in her throat as she approached the tree, her heart racing with both fear and awe. She knew she had to act quickly. With trembling hands, she plucked a single leaf from the tree, the warmth of its glow seeping into her skin. Clutching the leaf carefully, Naya made her way back to the palace, the weight of her mission pressing down on her with every step. She reached the queen's bedchamber just before dawn, the sky still dark but hinting at the first light of morning. Inside, Queen Morana lay still in her bed, pale and motionless. Her royal physicians hovered around her, exchanging worried glances, but none had an answer. Naya approached the queen's bedside, the leaf clutched tightly in her hand. She knelt beside her, the queen's shallow breath barely noticeable. "Drink this, your majesty," Naya whispered, her voice barely audible. The queen, in her delirium, barely heard her, but the desperation in Naya's voice reached her. For the first time, Morana's pride faltered as she gazed into the maid's eyes. seeing a flicker of hope where there had only been coldness before. With great effort, the queen took the potion from Naya's hands and drank. The taste was unlike anything she had ever known, both bitter and sweet, with a warmth that spread through her body, reaching her very core. For a moment nothing changed. The room was silent, save for the soft rustle of the leaves outside the window. Then, as if awakening from a deep slumber, the queen's breath deepened, her pulse quickening. Her pale cheeks flushed with color, and the sharpness returned to her green eyes. For the first time in days, Queen Morana felt alive again. She sat up, her body stronger than it had been, the sickness that had gripped her body now gone. She looked at Naya with wide, astonished eyes. You've healed me, Morana said, her voice hoarse but filled with wonder. Naya nodded silently, her heart swelling with both pride and humility. She had saved the queen, but at what cost? Her life would never be the same, and neither would the queen's. The transformation was just beginning. As the days passed, the queen's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Her strength returned, and with it, a softness that had never been seen before. Gone was the cold, calculating ruler who had once struck fear into the hearts of her people. In her place was a queen who saw the world through new eyes, a ruler who understood the true power of kindness and humility. The queen's transformation did not go unnoticed. Word spread quickly throughout the kingdom, and when the queen emerged from her chambers, she addressed her court. "I have been given a second chance," she said, her voice full of sincerity. "And I will not waste it. From this day forward, I will rule with fairness, with compassion, and with the wisdom that I have gained from my own suffering." The courtiers looked at one another in disbelief. This was not the queen they had known. This was someone new. Someone they could follow, respect, and love. In the days that followed, Queen Morana's kingdom flourished. She abolished unjust laws and encouraged the people to speak freely, to offer their counsel. For the first time, the barriers between royalty and commoners began to dissolve. The queen's once closed heart now opened to the people she had once ruled with fear. And at her side, as always, stood Naya, now elevated from humble servant to trusted advisor. Together they ruled a kingdom reborn, one where healing, not just of the body but of the soul, was the true legacy of a queen who had learned the most valuable lesson of all, that true power lies not in gold, but in grace. And in the forest of Kendra, the life-healing tree stood, as radiant as ever, its magic now shared between a humble maid and a transformed queen, a bond that would last for generations to come.